Hey, Spike here. This is not going to be my typical open Dragon Mouth video, because over the past month there has been, oh my god, so much drama. I try the best I can to stay out of it, but it has now really blown up, especially what has happened just a few days ago. So now I have to say something because of what has just happened. Now, pretty much almost everyone knows what has happened. Rocky Mountain Fur Con, RMFC, has decided to close its doors because of some multiple things that has happened. I have the letter from the chairman himself, and I'm quoting directly from him. The furry community in Rocky Mountain Fur Con has always strived to be a place of inclusion, a place where furs from all walks of life, differing religious, political, social, and personal views can come together to celebrate the thing that we have in common, the love of our fandom. Recently, members of our community have taken it upon themselves to bring in external influences of hate, intolerance, and stubborn refusal to compromise. This movement has grown into a community that promotes violence. It is because that is with deep regret that I have to make the following announcement. Last month, we were faced with a sudden and drastic increase in security costs, amounting to more than a third of our entire existing operating budget. This cost increase stemmed directly from the very public threats of violence against one another by members of this community, as well as negative backlash from misinformation spread about the convention, its staff, and attendees. Therefore, Rocky Mountain Fur Con 2017 is officially canceled. I will no longer continue to subject my staff and our community to the lies, hate, and violence and slander that was disseminated. All resources relating to the convention will be used to close our costs and tax liability, and the remainder will be utilized to provide refunds, as funds will allow to attendees and vendors. Any remaining will go to our standing charity, Freedom Service Dogs. As the chairman of RMFC, I would like to express my personal thanks to my director, staff, the hotels that we've worked with, and most of all our attendees in the city of Denver for 10 great years. We had hoped to see this convention continue to grow and flourish, but it's no longer an option. And that was from Soren, who was the chairman of RMFC. What has happened? There's multiple things. I'll start off with some of the smaller things that are not as prevalent. First off, there has been some tax problems. Back in, I believe it was 2012, they had lost their tax-exempt status because of some paperwork issues. I'm not exactly sure what it is. Either they have forgotten to do a certain thing with the paperwork. And everyone is saying that they had to pay it. They couldn't pay their taxes. But the Denver Post did an article on this, and they deny that the taxes were a problem, and they actually paid off their taxes. The second thing is a bit of a red herring, but is an issue nonetheless. They bring up that one of the board members, who was actually a former chairman, was a sex offender back in 1993, almost 25 years ago. And even though he has not committed anything since then, it's still bad publicity. But nonetheless, I think that this is more of a red herring as to why this convention truly closed. But the big thing here, as this thing has mentioned, unfortunately, some threats have occurred. Mainly involving one particular group, the Furry Raiders. And if you don't know who they are, Two Griffin already did a video on that, who can better explain it. But I'll explain it as best I can. They're a group that formed in Colorado around 2013, 2014, and which their goal, and I'm taking this directly from their website, is to help build a stronger and better community while encouraging personal creativity and expression. And the only way we could achieve our mission was through equality and building projects that challenge social obstacles. Now, sounds good and all, but apparently people don't care about that. Instead, they called the people in this group Nazis because of one thing: the armband. If you look at some of the pictures, there's one photo where this appears multiple times, but one particular wears a red armband with a white circle with a paw print on it, which looks suspiciously like a certain 1940s logo. And while I get that, it is quite extreme, I think. My personal view, and I'm keeping an eye on the comments, guys. Keep it civil. This is my view. Please respect it. And I just believe that this is extreme to call them Nazis, because while I do understand how suspect that logo, that armband is, I looked all over their website. I looked all over their Furfinity page, and I'm having a hard time believing that, because I have not seen one shred of evidence that they are Nazis. Are they? I don't know. There is no evidence. I've looked on their entire website. I looked all over the place. I cannot find one specific piece of evidence. For example, their projects on their page. Their projects include FurCons, which they say they're working hard to set up a team with opportunity to explore all what the furry community has to offer. With each convention, we dedicate the time and resources with staff and a hotel to make sure the experience is well received. Second, we're discovering that there's an increasing need for software solutions to help connect furries with each other in various ways as the fandom continues to expand with each individual endeavor. The Furry Raiders are committed to help build the bridges between furries. And third, supporting local charities. Having everyone involved is essential to building connections with the community. Furry Raiders is extending its reach on finding solutions to the furry community that can help local charities and meet their target goals. What is the problem with any of those? I don't get it. And what is this all because of an armband? Unless I see specifically, unless I see specifically from any one of the members there that their views is exterminating the gays, exterminating the Jews, it should be one dominant race, I don't believe it. I don't accept it blindly just because other people say it. That's not how I work around here. As a matter of fact, I had a long conversation with one of my friends on Twitter. Though we did our best to keep it civil. And of course, he believes all the Nazi stuff. I don't. But I'm not going to say who it is, just for his privacy. Yeah, but we ended on a civil note. That's at least the good news. But but where has this led? Especially with a couple of furs that I have found on Twitter that have actually given threats. One of them is saying that he would like to punch one of them. And of course, I don't tolerate threats to anyone. And I know that conventions don't tolerate threats. They take these very seriously. And I know people have responded with carrying concealed weapons. I don't support that either. Okay? Let's make that clear. Both sides are in the wrong here. But the fact is, threats were made. So, and on top of this is a person who has been spreading everything that saying that the furry raiders are Nazis, and just blindly spreading it out just because of the logo. And again, there was controversy that took place last year involving the number of rooms that they have reserved, which was all just a misunderstanding. Both them and the convention made it clear it was just a misunderstanding. But again, listen, believe what you want. Me, I don't believe any of that stuff with the Nazi stuff, because again, that's not how I work. I need evidence for you to convince me, and an armband alone isn't going to do it. But I have never, in the nearly 10 years that I've been in the furry fandom, have seen everyone so torn apart by these issues involving conventions and people with different beliefs. I have never seen the fandom so polarized before. So, and clearly, the threats that's crossing the line here. You can disagree all you want. You can say how much you don't like a certain group being there, but when you start making threats, that's where I draw the line. Okay? This is where a lot of conventions will draw the line. And this is where people end up getting banned from conventions. And this has happened before the convention actually had closed down. So I'll say this again. You can disagree all you want. That's pretty much the beauty of arguing. We don't agree with each other all the time, but when you start mudflinging, it just gets pathetic. So, but just don't ever start making threats, because that is a place that you don't want to go to. How long have I ranted now? 14 minutes already? And even the past few weeks, I had been debating with myself on whether I wanted to attend Anthrocon this year. And this has nothing to do with Two Griffin. If they wanted to take them off the schedule for certain reasons, I would have been okay with that. But it's not necessarily that. It's pretty much how the staff and the board of Anthrocon have handled it. And I say they handled it very poorly. The only explanation they give us was that they didn't have room for him, even though that they had plenty of time in the in the main stage, and there's plenty other rooms he could have had a show at, and they decide to let other events happen in the main ballroom, and it just doesn't make any sense to me. And add on top of the fact, I looked at the forums and people had kept asking questions about it, and that's the only explanation they give. I've even seen some staff members tell off some of the attendees just because they're asking questions. And I understand that Anthocon is a closed entity and they don't like explaining their decisions out in public. But if people have these legit questions and they're not answered, it just stirs up a lot of negative thoughts, if you know what I mean. Especially when it has been shown that on a Twitter page, one board member at least has a conflict of interest, where he has stated in his Twitter page that he doesn't like Two Griffin, and it just makes me think that he's not thinking about Anthocon the business, but is rather getting his own feelings in the way. So I'm not putting it on the entire board, okay? I mean, Uncle Kage, I have a lot of respect. KP, I've talked with KP before, and I have a lot of respect for him. I've even seen him in the forums, and his response was, "Give us a chance with this," and that's actually a good response to all the criticisms. I just wish that this was explained better, and this was handled better. So all that has had me debating on whether I want to go to Anthocon this year, and right now I'm leaning towards that I might, not necessarily for the convention, but more of that I just love Pittsburgh too much, and a lot of my friends show up there, and like I said, I'd be willing to give Anthocon this one chance, as long as they can show that they can handle this properly. So I've pretty much ranted on for too long now, but so if any negative feelings have been brought upon to you tonight, I apologize, but this pretty much is how this past month has been. Just so much drama going on, and like I said, the past month I've been trying to keep quiet about the issue. I've only posted on my journal one time just explaining my feelings on it, and I was pretty much just going to leave it at that, but because of our RMFC, I just had to say something here. So if you disagree with some of the things I've said today, that's fine. Just keep it civil in the comments. That's all I ask you to do. So that's